Myself and a buddy on my squad responded to an alarm. The incident location was an old office-type building that had been converted to doctors' offices. There was a pharmacy attached to it. Our dispatch received a motion signal from an upstairs office. Keyholder arrives on scene and we go in to secure the building. The stairs were locked behind the door that, of course, the keyholder didn't have keys to. So, we took the elevator up to the second floor. Not the most technically sound option, I know. Elevator opens to a pitch black hallway, except for one overhead light at the end of the hall. We start checking doors, and so far all are secured. We got to the last office, and sure enough, the door is unlocked. We make entry and observe it to an unused office. The door opened to a sizable waiting room and reception area. There were about 10 or 12 exam rooms, all cleared with no hiccups. We exit the office and immediately something seems off. That is when I realized the overhead light at our end of the hallway that had been on was now off, replaced by another light over by the elevators. I look at my squad mate and he's completely white. I ask him what is wrong, and he says, "Weren't all those doors we just checked closed and locked?" I tell him, "Yeah." So buddy says, "Well, now they are all standing open." Sure enough, all the offices down the hallway we had just checked were now standing open. Poker factor sinks in at this point. So we start clearing offices and securing offices. We finish the last office and are on our way out. Just before we turn the corner to get into the waiting area, the main door just slams shut. Then our radios start going nuts with some kind of static feedback. Now I just want to get the hell out of there. We get back in the elevator and head down to the first floor to make contact with the keyholder again. However, keyholder is nowhere to be found. I contact dispatch and request a callback number for the keyholder so I can advise him of what we found. Dispatch states that the keyholder was still en route to us and was advising of an estimated time arrival of 5 minutes. I advised dispatch that we had already been out with the keyholder. Dispatch requests I give them a call. I call dispatch and she tells me that there is no way we were out with a keyholder. She states that the alarm company had only just made contact with one. Eventually, the real keyholder arrives on scene, and I ask her about the man that had led us in the building, the first keyholder. She asked me to describe him, so I did. She states that sounds like one of the doctors that used to lease the office on the second floor at the end of the hall. She then states that he had committed suicide at this summer home several days ago. I used to work for a private police firm as a patrol supervisor. One of my patrol routes, we had a huge church that was also a private daycare and kindergarten. It was my responsibility to clear and secure the building every night between 3 and 4 a.m. due to recent instances of doors being found left open in the morning. In the early 1900s, the building was a schoolhouse and supposedly a fire killed several children trapped inside. I didn't know any of this prior to working for the company. I only lasted about a week on this route prior to requesting that the church be moved to earlier in the shift. Several extremely creepy things happened while assigned to the church. My first night there, I had just walked down the very long main classroom hallway to clear all of the rooms, and when I turned around to walk back up the hallway, there was a red balloon floating in the middle of the hallway that was definitely not there prior. In the old pastor's office, there was a lamp shaped like a lighthouse that sat on a table in a large window. When I would pull up to the church, the lamp would be the first thing I would see in the office window. It was always turned on. However, when I would go to check the pastor's office from the inside, the lamp would always be off. When I would get back into the car to leave, the light would be back on again. One weekend, the church was having a bake sale and the kitchen was full of plates of cookies and brownies. There had been a note left on the door telling us that we could help ourselves to anything in the kitchen. I cleared the kitchen and noticed a large plate of chocolate chip cookies. I continued past the plate to clear the rest of the kitchen, and when I went back to the plates of cookies, there were only 3 left, where there had been at least a dozen or more. And I also had the usual phenomena of previously closed and locked doors being found open just seconds after closing and locking them. Another officer that filled in for me one evening quit the very next day because he reported that as he was checking the main chapel, the pipe organ started playing itself. The fallen officer. I wasn't present for this, but heard this from coworkers. It was second week of April, a few years ago, around 2 a.m. A young junior female officer was coming off shift and walking to the locker rooms past an empty admin area. At that time of night, the office was all cleared out and can be eerie. She saw an older male officer standing there that she didn't know, and she said hello as she walked by. He ignored her, and when she looked back over her shoulder, he was gone. Of course, she was creeped out, but told herself she was just tired and imagining things. A couple days went by and she saw a picture of the same officer she had seen that night posted on a wall of fallen officers. That officer had killed himself with a service weapon a couple years earlier, during the second week of April. He used to have a desk near where she saw him. I didn't know him very well, as we have a large department and we didn't work in the same areas. In all my dealings with him, he was very talented and skilled at his job and had a clear passion for it. It was a big loss. There is another one watching over us.